We are excited to have with us today a best-selling author, hockey card collector, and one of Canada's most respected sports broadcasters. He is the co-host of Sportsnet Central on Sportsnet right here in Canada, where we are, a blue noser from Pictou, Nova Scotia, and one hell of a nice guy, Ken Reid. Welcome to the Trading Card Collective.
Thanks, Jeff. Psyched to open some cards today. Talk
Absolutely.
hockey cards. Let's get at her, bud.
But I think we're going to let our viewers get to know you a little bit better first.
Okay.
And I want to start with going from Pictou, Nova Scotia to Sportsnet.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen?
It starts like with a dream, I guess, as a kid. The initial dream was to play in the NHL by the time I was 8 or 9. My skills told me that wasn't going to happen, and I set my sights on being a sports broadcaster. And it's a far-fetched dream as a kid. It's a far-fetched dream for anyone. And then it happened. I went to school, got a journalism degree, started working my way across Canada, started at volunteering at Channel 10 Access Cable in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Went from Dartmouth to Calgary, where I became a weeknight sports news anchor, covering the Flames, covering the Calgary Stampeders, covering the Calgary Cannons. Then Ottawa, then Edmonton, then Toronto. I ended up at Sportsnet. Been at Sportsnet for 12 years now, working with Ivanka Osmak, hosting Sportsnet Central Primetime Edition. Weeknights on Sportsnet. Good time.
Fantastic. Now, for those who may not know where Pictou is or what it's like there, how do you develop these kind of passions coming up in a place like that?
Well, you fight and you fish and you collect hockey cards. You watch a lot of hockey as a kid. One game on a week, Saturday nights, hockey night in Canada. $3 for allowance. You go to Friday night skating, you go to the Pictou Mariners game for $1 to get in, 50 cents for a program, and 2 packs of cards for 25 cents each. And for me, the best way to learn about players and to see what they actually look like was to collect their hockey cards. We didn't have Sportsnet then. There wasn't 24/7 sports coverage. There was no internet. There was one game on a week. If you wanted to know about players, you either subscribed to Hockey Digest, the Hockey News, or you devoured hockey cards. So I had a Hockey Digest subscription and I devoured hockey cards. So that's where I got to learn what the uniforms of the LA Kings looked like. You didn't see the Kings on Hockey Night in Canada very rarely. And that's where I learned a guy like Bobby Smith for the Minnesota North Stars. So it was all through hockey cards.
Fantastic. Now, I know a lot of our viewers will watch you on Sportsnet. What is it actually like to work at a network that's that big and you guys do a lot of shows, right? Like it's fast.
It's cool. It's fast-paced. It's live. It's breaking. The great thing I love about our show is it's scripted, but it's not scripted because we're literally coming out of a hockey game. We're coming out of a Blue Jays game. Just did a game where Tyler Toffoli scored with 6 seconds left. So you're ready to go on air. You're thinking you're going to overtime. Boom. Everything changes. Now you're talking about a Toffoli goal. And the behind the scenes, the crew's trying to get sound from Toffoli. They're telling you in your ear, we got Toffoli in a minute and a half coming up out of these highlights. It's fun. It's spontaneous. That's what I like. I don't like doing scripted shows that are taped. I like just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So I don't want to say it's close to playing, but it's impromptu, kind of like the way a game is. Things unfold and you react. So that's kind of what our show is like.
Amazing. Now, it may not be the same for you, but what advice would you have for young people watching who may want to follow in your footsteps, your kind of career path?
Get on camera, get on a microphone, make your mistakes, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel. Don't do it if you're not obsessed with it. Don't try to be a hockey broadcaster if you think it's cool to be on TV. Because it won't be cool to be on TV if you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Follow your passion. If your passion's basketball and you want to be a basketball reporter, go for it. You may have to do some gigs you don't want to do along the way. You may have to be a news reporter first, but get on a microphone, start a podcast, do play-by-play at your local high school. Look, if your high school doesn't have a streaming service and you show up and ask your coach if you can do the games, he's going to say yes because grandma and grandpa can watch them. So get at it. Don't wait. Don't be shy. Shyness does not pay the bills.
Fantastic advice. Okay, let's get into cards and your collecting. How did it all start for you?
Again, just as a kid, wanting to connect to the game. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, so everybody collected hockey cards, and I was no different than anyone, and I wanted to see what the players looked like. And then I remember around 87 or 88, my mom brought home a price guide, and I thought, these things are worth something? So I got heavy into it, started hoarding cards, and then when the first boom came around in 90-91, I already kind of was leading the pack, so I was dealing cards as a 14-year-old. I'd set up at shows in Halifax as 14, 15, 16-year-old, sell my doubles and basically buy more cards. And got out of it for a while, like most guys do. They discover girls and go to college. And, you know, if you're at the bar at 11 o'clock, most people probably don't want to talk about a 1981 OPG Wayne Gretzky, so you get out of it.
Yeah.
But then you get a little older and things get nostalgic, and I've been back into it now, I think, for about 14, 15 years. So moved to Toronto, and Dad, I lugged up all my old cards from my dad's place and got back into it. And it's crazy to see what's happened in the last couple of years, because I thought there was stuff I had that would be deemed junk that's no longer junk, which is kind of cool. You hold on to something long enough,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you're actually talking about a timeline that we have uncovered a little bit here, and people of our sort of age may have seen these things come and go.
Yeah.
And right now, we seem to have landed in a spot where there is sort of almost two factions, like the hobbyists or the purists.
Yep.
And then there's people who are into this. It's a little more of a business. There's a little more whirlwind around it. What is your take on the industry as a whole right now, and where do you fit on the spectrum?
Yeah, well, I've seen it before. I remember when the business guys started showing up in 1990, and you could tell who they were. And there was a guy like Mr. Mint who bought and sold cards, and he was pretty bold about it, and he bought and sold cards for a living. And there was lots of guys going around back in the day buying 50-count lots of, Delino to Shields rookies, 1990 Donruss. So been there, done that, seen it before. Obviously, the new products now are a lot more high grade than they were back in the original boom, and they're limited. Like they're built to be limited, which we never really had that before. I would be kind of a hybrid. I collect to collect, but if there's something to flip and I can see a chance to make a couple bucks, I'll do it. I'll admit that, but at my heart, I'm a collector. But I think most collectors, there's a part of them that if they get the right offer, they would sell and try to make a move. So I think I fit into that category. But I'll say there's certain cards in my collection that I would never sell. But then again, if somebody came and made me a ridiculous offer, you'd probably do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way life works.
Absolutely. You have kids, right?
Yeah.
Are they into collecting?
The 10-year-old is. He loves it. Loves cracking packs. Bought him a Top Series 1 pack the other night. Got him a couple packs for his birthday. My other guy likes it a little bit, but my 10-year-old's really into it, which is kind of cute. It's something we can do together. He had baseball the other night. While he was playing, I went and bought him a pack. He was practicing, so I didn't watch, and we ripped it on the way home. So it's a nice way to bond with your kid, for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, let's get into the books, because you've written quite a few.
Yep.
I want to start with that one, the hockey card stories. I think it's actually in that one. You have an interesting note right off the top, and you mentioned it earlier in this interview, that kind of one of the catalysts was your mother coming back from spring training with a price guide. So question one is, what was she doing at spring training?
She was just down there like everybody, got down, soaking up some sun, getting out of the Nova Scotia winter, and she and Dad went to a White Sox game, and she actually got a ball. She caught a foul ball. She brought that back. Yeah.
She made out like a bandit at
She
spring
did
training.
well, and somehow she came across a baseball card price guide. I don't know how, but she did. But she knew I had a ton of cards, and I think she probably saw the price guide and thought, these cards that my son has are actually worth money, which was strange back then. Not everyone knew. So that's how it came about. So yeah, Mom's been my biggest supporter through my collecting journey, and I mention her quite a bit in the book.
That's fantastic. Now, tell me what, I think that's the first one there beside you, Hockey Card Stories,
First
and then I
one,
have number 2 here. What inspired the books?
Lots of people were writing about hockey cards, just blogging about it and things like that. And I'm as obsessed with hockey cards as anybody else. And I thought, lots of people were talking about airbrushes, and I was always going back home. And when I go home in the summers, I'd look at my cards and I'd think, this haircut on this guy doesn't make sense. He doesn't have a perm, and look at that mustache, and look at that awful airbrush job. And then I started thinking, I wonder what the guys on the cards actually think of it. And I was working at Sportsnet. I had a lot of free time. I was the weekend anchor. So I thought, man, I should call some of these guys, and I could call up, I don't know. Let's see, Michel Dion. And this is just an awesome card, this 84-85 OPG. It looks so cool. And I remember drawing the duckbill mask as a kid, and I could ask him about that duckbill mask, and maybe he'll tell me about it. Maybe he'll tell me about this card. And it turns out he'd answer the phone and he'd tell me about it, and I'd write this story. And that's kind of how it all came about. And I got a literary agent, and away we went. Like this Kelly Rudy card, I remember looking at it as I got older, and Kelly's a colleague, and going, why does Kelly have a perm? Why is Kelly wearing 2 golf gloves? And I'm curious by nature, and I called Kelly up, and sure enough, he's like, he got that haircut done at the West Edmonton Mall in the off season, and he's wearing the golf gloves, not to absorb the shock of a shot, which I thought it was, but to avoid something called the gunk, which is a rash that went around the NHL back in the day.
You're kidding.
No, and nobody knew what the gunk, where it came from. A lot of people think it came from the detergent that some clubs use. So he's wearing those gloves to avoid getting a rash on his hand from his equipment. So just by looking at a hockey card, the old pitch is worth 1,000 words cliche. It's kind of that, but I wanted to go to the guys on the card to see what they thought. And even if they remembered their cards, and they all did.
Well, one person that did, and one of the stories that really stood out for me there is kind of a global superstar just beyond being a hockey player, and that's the legendary Don Cherry.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated to see how you were able to pull out their personalities, and you did it with all the stories through this card, because most of his story there and what you kind of uncovered is fashion-based, which again, he's an icon.
Yeah,
right?
like nobody's gonna tell Don Cherry how to dress, right? Sharp dressed man, but his tie for some reason was airbrushed. And he's like, you're never gonna believe this, but they airbrushed my tie. When I'm starting to write this book, I don't necessarily have the street cred I have now. Not that I have much, but getting a voicemail,
Sure you do.
Getting a voicemail from Don and saying, give me a call was one of the biggest thrills of my life. And the fact that he helped me with this book shows you the kind of guy Don is. He's just a super kind, super generous man. And he didn't have to give me his time, and he did. And to have him open up about just some foolish old hockey card gave me the opportunity to do this book. So a big thank you to Don. A big thank you to all the guys who took part in the book. But yeah, having Don Cherry tell me about his 74, 75 O-Pee-Chee was like a thrill of a lifetime.
You're right, and nobody tells him, except if you read the article or the story, you all should. He agreed with them in the end.
Yeah, he did. He said, it looks pretty good,
Maybe that was the right choice.
So maybe you can tell Don how to dress.
So whoever O-Pee-Chee has doing this is,
pretty good. Yeah, exactly. I just love the old airbrush. I just love the innocence of it.
Yeah.
And like, it was a more innocent time. Like, I like to think of the 80s and 70s as a more innocent time. It wasn't complicated. The airbrushes didn't have to be perfect. Now, when a guy gets traded, we Photoshop a uniform on him right away and it looks perfect.
Right.
The airbrushes back in the day were not perfect, but to me, that's what almost made them perfect. It was just the imperfection.
That's amazing. Now, across all of your publications here, your books, if you had to pick one or two stories that have just been sort of either your favorites or the most interesting to you, compelling, what would they be?
I mean, there was a story I did for my book, One Night Only, and One Night Only was a book about guys who played a single game in the National Hockey League. I believe the gentleman's name was Bob Ring. He played in goal for the Boston Bruins. And he wound up the next year at Acadia University in Nova Scotia. And I said, how come you went to Acadia? And he said, basically it was to avoid being drafted into the Vietnam War. And I thought, that's wild. So that, like, in a way, hockey almost saved Bob's life. It kept him out of Vietnam. That one always stood out to me. There's so many hockey card stories that stand out to me. There's another one, and one to remember. One of the players in there scores a goal for the LA Kings, and a week later he's stabbed in a bar fight and almost dies. Like, I didn't think I was going to get that when I talked to a guy about a single goal. I thought he was going to say, I shot the puck, it went in, end of story. So I love that stats don't always tell the whole story. A pitcher doesn't always tell the whole story. So by just talking to guys about their one goal, their one game, maybe even their one hockey card, it opens up a lot. There's a guy in this book, Jamie Matthews, from Amherst, Nova Scotia. He was supposed to be the next big Nova Scotia thing. He got drafted, he had a card, passed over signing, got drafted again, had some problems off the ice with family and people passing away, and never ended up playing the NHL, but got a hockey card out of it. People still send them to him in the mail in Amherst. So yeah, doing these books has been like just a real eye-opener as to the stories that people have. Like, stats and cards do not tell everything.
Yeah, it's a super interesting starting point. You picked it as a catalyst.
Yeah, exactly. It's a jumping off point. Exactly.
Right, and they're fantastic. Now, you did mention this one to remember and One Night Only.
Yeah.
What inspired this one to remember?
That's a spin-off of One Night Only, and One Night Only was based off, man, I'd give anything just to play a single game in the NHL. So I talked to the 39 guys who played a single game, and then the next wish would be like, man, I'd give anything to score a goal in the NHL. And in other words, like, just to score one. Is it enough? Is it a thrill, or is it a tease? So that's basically the gist of it. And so I call these guys and tell me about your goal. What happened before, but probably more importantly, what happened after? Why only one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And across all your books, it really is a big expose on things that you don't get. I mean, even you could tell us, like, these are stories that you wouldn't even share on the network, right? Like, it doesn't make the news, right?
That's what I like is in the old journalism world, they'll tell you everyone has a story, and I love books on Wayne Gretzky. I love books on Bobby Orr. I devour them. Those stories are really well known, but in a lot of ways, that book comes back to this book. My original pitch for this hockey card stories was there's no such thing as a common card. Every card has a story. Well, every player has a story. But a lot of these stories that I tell aren't unearthed. So that's why I enjoy doing them, because everybody has a story and a lot of them are pretty incredible.
Do you have plans for future books?
Yep, I got one coming out this fall. It'll be fall 2023 if I do my math correctly. It's with Simon & Schuster Publishing. And it's on hometown hockey heroes who didn't make the NHL. So that guy in your town that was the local hero that everybody loved, what's his story? Maybe it's a why didn't he make it? Maybe it's an impact he had on the town, and it all comes from a buddy of mine named Dana Johnson, who was the junior C star of the Pictou Mariners in the 1980s. Everybody in town loved the guy. Everybody in town still loves the guy. He's still a hero in our town, so I wanted to shine a light again on guys who don't get a light shone on them. The Corner Brook Royals won the Allen Cup, Canadian senior hockey title in 1986. One of the heroes of that team was a guy named Robbie Forbes, who was just an outstanding player, probably played in the wrong era. If you go back to Corner Brook today, he's still a hero. He led the Newfoundland League in scoring that year. He also happens to be Sidney Crosby's uncle.
Oh,
so I
and then there's that.
Yeah, so I tell his story. So there's all these stories out there that hockey's given to us. So those are the stories I like to shine a light on. And again, I guess the hometown heroes, it comes right back to this book. It's like you said, these are stories that probably you're not going to see on Sportsnet, but I like to tell.
Fantastic. Ken, thank you so much for joining us here today. You can find all of Ken's books, except for the new one, which I'm sure will be there soon, on Amazon. And of course,
I think you can pre-order the new one on Amazon soon. The world's weird.
Let's put the link in. Pre-order Ken's, buy the rest of them, pre-order the new one coming out on Amazon. And of course, you can catch Ken on Sportsnet Central weeknights, Monday through Thursday, if I'm correct.
Yes, Jeff. Correct.
Ken, thank you so much.
Beauty, buddy.
Welcome to the Trading Card Collective. My name is Jeff, and as always, we are joined by Nadine, the Style Queen or the Sleeve Queen. But today we have a very special guest breaker with us, legendary sportscaster.
Legendary.
Ken Reid is here.
Legendary, that's awesome.
Ken,
legendary.
Thank you for joining us,
You're
and thank you
welcome.
for coming to break with us. Before we get into what we're going to break, tell everyone a little about your card collection and how you got into it.
Uber nerd collection, probably 75,000 cards or so. Got into it as a kid, just like everybody else in the 80s, you know. You went to the store, you bought a pack for a quarter, 83 O-Peachy, 84 O-Peachy, whatever it was. When the boom came out in the 90s, I was kind of ahead of the pack. I was a dealer, went away, started collecting again about 15 years ago, and now we're in another boom. So
amazing.
Good times. And when I watch these breaks, the first thing I always say is go easy with the pack.
Yeah.
So when I open the pack, I hope everybody's very sympathetic towards me. I don't do a lot of breaks, so I'm going to try to open the packs as smoothly as possible. It's not to ding the corners.
And when you were talking about the 80s there, I saw Nadine's eyes dart around. I think she was thinking I was 2.
Were ya?
Yeah.
It was a good time, man. It was a good time.
All right, we are opening 21-22 Synergy from Upper Deck. This is pretty limited stuff, 8 packs and only 3 cards in each pack, Ken. You're looking for 4 exceptional stars, phenoms, or future acetates. And here on the side, they've indicated that the popular Synergy FX insert is back.
Okay.
Now, as for players, I'm going to leave to you to know when we hit the bangers. Let us know.
I just looked at the checklist, Jeff. I'm psyched. Trevor Zegras, rookie. Cole Caulfield. I want my Dawson Mercer's in there. Alex Newhook, a couple Newfoundland guys I really like. And I when it comes to legends, I want my boy Paul Coff. Here we go, Coff. You know, I want to pull out a Paul Coff.
Nice. Okay. 21-22 Synergy with Ken Reid.
Okay. Breaking knife. Okay. So this is the part where I always yell at people to be gentle and stuff like this. So here we go. Get into her. And when I open the packs, please be sympathetic. I find the packs a lot harder to open these days than times in the past. I'm going to try to keep everything between the
Well, because in the
lines
past,
here.
it was just kind of heat pressed and folded.
So here we go. 3 cards per pack. So I'm going to try to do this as gentle as possible. Please, everybody, be kind. See, I can never do it. Okay. So I know you're freaked out at home, but I'm going to go with the knife just along the top. There we go. It's a smooth open for everybody. Everybody's going to be happy with me. So these are numbered. A lot of them are numbered. So this is going to be fun. So here we go. First up, Kevin Fiala. Jonathan Huberdeau, 81 of 749. Now
Very
of
nice.
the Calgary Flames, as you know. Oh, there we go. Matty Barzal, nice player, rich player for the New York
Fantastic.
Islanders. Okay.
Okay, let's keep it going. I think that first one was an acetate, if I'm not mistaken, on the monitor here. Nadine, take a look. Is there clear on that first card?
On the first
Yes,
card?
it
No.
is. The red is
Oh, yes,
clear,
yes,
right?
yes.
See,
on the
there's people
sides.
at home yelling at me about parallels and all that. I'm mostly a vintage guy, so when it comes to parallels and stuff, I'm extremely ignorant. So if you're yelling at home, please
Put
yell.
it in the comments.
Yeah,
Put it in the
Ken's
comments.
a moron. I can take it. Don't worry about it. Patrick Kane, now of the New York Rangers. And I know there's parallels and whatnot. These are nice cards.
Beautiful.
Acetate, too.
Okay. There's a clear one. Look at that one.
Yeah, that's a clear acetate.
584 of 899. Riley Damiani. Oh, and this is sexy looking card. Little duos, 214 of 999. Rasmus Dahlin and Victor Olofsson. So still waiting for a big hit, as the kids call it. Keep
A
in mind-
banger, Ken.
A banger.
Banger.
Keep in mind, I'm a middle-aged man. Don't know all the new breaker terms. This looks like it could be fun. I see Quinn Hughes on the back. Awesome player. Here we go. And we have, oh, did I say I wanted Paul Coffey?
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
There we go, Coff. Look at that. Everybody in Canada played with the Sherwood 50-30 with the Coffey curve. That is a beautiful card. You know what? Probably not the most valuable card in the set, but Coff, you're number one on my heart, buddy. Here we go. Cole Sillinger. Love this guy. Made the NHL as an 18-year-old. Son of Mike Sillinger. Mike played for 10 different NHL teams, and I'll tell you why, because he was awesome and everybody wanted him. 220 of 499. And you can't go wrong with Quinn Hughes. Roaring 20s. Quinn Hughes. Beautiful hockey player.
Fantastic. Now the coffee curve, Ken, you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, everybody had the coffee curve. Yeah.
We used to have a rule that, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, this was just street hockey. If you could fit a quarter under it,
Yeah.
it was,
It was good.
yeah.
Yeah, and the coffee curve, probably illegal in the old pickup schoolboy activity. Here we go. Super Pest. Love this guy. Want him on my team. If you don't like him, I don't like you. Brad Marchand. Oh, look at this. Signed Jerome McGinley.
Ooh,
3 of
very
35.
nice.
One of the great thrills of my professional career was I arrived in Calgary just as this guy was kind of finding his game. And I remember watching him score 50 goals for the Flames. Fantastic person, fantastic hockey player from St. Albert, Alberta. Shout out St. Albert. I've never met a bad person from St. Albert, Alberta. That includes Jerome McGinley, Mark Messier, my old buddy, The Big Show, Blaine Bruja. That's a beautiful card. And there you go, Synergy Duos, 129 of 149. I like that a lot. Alexander Ovechkin and Peter Bondra.
Pretty cool.
Do you guys want Ovechkin to break Gretzky's record?
No.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
No.
I don't, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen, but it's going to be a tough day for a lot of old school hockey fans when that happens. Okay, there he is, Trevor Zegras. There you go.
Very
Rookie
nice,
card.
rookie
Trevor
card.
Zegras. Lots of people waiting for that one, I am sure. Jake Gensel, 420 of 749, and
Brilliance.
postseason brilliance, William Karlsson. All right, I like that Iggy card so far. That was a beautiful. I like that. I like this high-end product stuff. This is kind of fun.
Are we changing your taste a little here, Ken?
No, a little bit maybe. A little bit maybe. Here we go. Brandon Duheim from Minnesota Wild. Nick Suzuki, exceptional phenoms. Beautiful card. 167 of 899, I believe that says. Great player from Montreal. And rookie journey, Anton Lundell, 345 of 999. These are beautiful cards, I have to say. I'm glad that you guys are giving me the first class treatment. Only 2 packs to go. A Gretzky'd be nice.
Yeah.
A Cole Caulfield would be nice. An Alex Newhook would be nice. Kirill Kaprizov I see on the back. Super sniper for Minnesota. Oh, look at this. See, I just love that old look, eh? Dave
Yep.
Taylor, the old LA Kings uniform. Great looking card. Cole Lind, 750 of 899. And beautiful. This guy's so good. Kirill Kaprizov for the Minnesota Wild. Total sniper. Okay, last pack
Last pack magic
of
is
our
what they say. Or last pack
21-22
mojo.
Synergy Got my mojo working. Let's go. Let's get the mojo working. Who do we want to see in this pack? Any requests? I wouldn't mind a Cole Caulfield. That'd be
Well, you're
fun.
hunting one now.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Going for Cole
Kids say
Caulfield.
you're hunting for this.
And I'll be nice on the pack. I just want to make sure I open these gently. Because when I watch these things at home, I freak out at people who don't open the cards gently. Okay, here we go. In goal for your Winnipeg Jets, Connor Hellebuck. That's a nice card. Jonathan Huberdeau. Wow, that's nice. Numbered of 199. And the final card in our box.
Looks shiny.
Ooh, David Pasternak. He of the recent $90 million extension, the star of the show. There you go. So I guess the big hit was our Jerome McGinley autograph
Yes.
card. That was a nice one. But
Jerome
maybe there's
McGinley
somebody at
auto.
home yelling at me. Ken, there was another big hit in there because you don't understand parallels. If you're saying that, you're correct. I don't. I'm a vintage guy. But that was
Well, we'll
fun.
check with Dave. Fuzzy, I'm sure he's making noise back there somewhere. Squirming.
Nadine, nice organization. I like that.
Yeah.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very well done.
Ken, thank you so much for joining and for breaking with us. Tell everybody where they can see you on a regular basis.
You can see me on Sportsnet Monday through Thursday night, primetime edition of Sportsnet Central alongside Ivanka Osmak, and I got a few books available on Amazon, including the upcoming publication from Simon & Schuster, 2023's Ken Reid's Hometown Hockey Heroes. That's plug.
Fantastic. Ken, thanks for joining us, and be sure to like and subscribe to the Trading Card Collective. We'll see you next time.
That was quick.
Those are
nice.
nice.
Yeah, I love these cards.